Good morning, it's 6 o'clock on Friday the 14th of February. Happy Valentine's Day. This is Today with Darshini David and Nick Robinson.
Hey there, you with the stars in your eyes.
The story of the Suffolk air bases that helped bring the music of Sammy Davis Jr. and other black American stars to these shores.
Coming up in the next hour, why some of the great jazz musicians like Sammy Davis Jr. first touched down in Britain at Suffolk air bases. And it's now 22 minutes past 7.
Love never made a fool.
That is the sound of Sammy Davis Jr. Who else performing Hey There in 1959, a year before he performed it here in the UK. Not, as you might think, in London or Liverpool or Manchester, but he performed it in rural Suffolk at RAF Lakenheath, to be precise. A new project called Superfly is aiming to tell the story of how music like that came here from the East. The man behind the project is the founder of the art collective NoiseofArt, Ben Osborne, who joins us now. Morning to you, Ben.
Morning, Nick. How are you doing?
Suffolk. Why Suffolk?
Why Suffolk? Well, I mean, this is it's an unsort of told story, and one I only stumbled across because I was actually doing something around the centenary of the end of World War I in the Czech Republic, and started looking into the cultural impact of different civilizations coming together during World War I and how that affected music in the 1920s. So when I came back to the UK, I started looking at post-World War II and the number of American personnel who stayed on after World War II in Air Force bases, of which there are around 200 in the UK, most of which were in East Anglia. And at its height, 1 in 7 of the people living in Suffolk were American serving personnel.
Yes, it was on a huge scale. As you drive around Suffolk, you can see the remnants, can't you? It's still some there, of course, but...
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, there's still 2 large bases there, and people dotted around Suffolk are still connected with the story. And as you say, there's some architecturally, there's some places that still got the kind of water hydrants you expect in America, still out on the streets and stuff. But
as a result of all those American GIs being there, others too, you get people like Sammy Davis Jr. coming over, and the music therefore is spreading, the culture is spreading that way rather than just through the big cities.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so obviously this project is focusing in on the influence of American black music, which obviously incredibly important to how music progressed in the later half of the 20th century. And the narrative that we know about that is that music came in through the big industrial port cities, like, Little Richard comes into Liverpool, and eventually you get the Beatles, or Chuck Berry comes into London and you get the Rolling Stones. So we know that narrative. The narrative we don't know about is this rural route for music coming in from Air Force bases, some of which is very direct. The first British soul star, actually an American, but still living in the UK, was Gino Washington, who was the gym instructor at the American Air Force Base in Woodbridge in Suffolk. People don't know, and people probably are more familiar with the song Gino by Dexy's Midnight Runners, which was a tribute to him that was made some 20 years after he started performing.
Oh, interesting. And you're assembling all this for a festival later in the year. You want people to get in touch with you if they've got stories about this?
Absolutely, because it is a kind of untold story, and Gino's now 81, so some of the people involved, none of us are getting any younger. And if we don't get those stories now, then we might not get them. If anybody's got posters or photographs or memories, I didn't know about the Sammy Davis one until the BBC News story pops up yesterday. So there's lots of things that we just don't know about.
Woodbridge Festival Suffolk @gmail.com is the address to get in touch with. Ben Osborne, thanks very much indeed for telling us the story.
Yeah, we could have listened to a bit more of that, I think, Nick, but never mind, because at 25 minutes past 7...